All right, guys, let's talk about an A2 knife today. Let me get my notes out of the way because, well, just, yeah, whatever. So, Andre Van Heerden and Andre Thorburn have created a company called A2 Knives. And I think I've done a video on one of their knives before. This is the pouch. I don't know that this is the pouch that comes with the knife or not. Maybe, because this does fit right in. So this could be the knife pouch. I'm not sure, but that's okay. This was loaned in to me from my friend Joseph out in Ohio. And it is a front flipper, top flipper. I don't know what you call this actually, but it's pretty cool is what I call it. And it's from South Africa. So you know the quality, the materials, the fit, and the finish is fantastic. Everything coming out of South Africa. I don't know that I have seen really a bad knife come out of South Africa. I'm sure there have been some. I just haven't seen them. Okay? This is a good size knife. It's a little smaller than I generally carry for myself, but it's not too small for me. Whereas like a Spyderco Delica or something with a sub 3-inch blade is too small for me to really carry on a daily basis. So let's just dive right into the specs first and foremost. 4 3/8 closed. That includes the little top flip, thing. I add that on because that's the overall length of it when it's closed. 7 3/8 overall. 3.17 and a 3-inch edge. The blade thickness is super thin at 0.114. So by the time they grind that down, you get 0.01. Yeah, 0.01 behind the edge. So it's super thin and super slicey. Also weighs in at 3.2 ounces. So it's a very lightweight. And actually, not that I care or subscribe to this 1 ounce per inch methodology of some people's weight. This is a 3-inch blade. So it comes in at it's a 3.1 inch blade, 3.17, so almost 3.2. This comes in at 3.2 ounces. So it stays right in line with that, if you care. Overall thickness is 0.50, just at half an inch minus the clip. So you could, if you so needed, you could use this to measure something, I guess, out in the field. I don't know, whatever. And it runs on IKBS bearings. These are ceramic bearings, and they tell you over on the other side of the blade, which we'll get to in a second. So very nice hand rub satin finish. A couple of fingerprints there for good measure. Zirconium pivot, which always comes with the fingerprints. I love zirconium, but I don't love when it is polished zirconium because no matter what you do, you're going to get a fingerprint. And then it's a zirconium and titanium pivot collars. Looks really great. G10 scales, G10 backspacer, titanium liners, titanium pocket clip, more of that zirconium pocket pivot and zircuti, and then IKBS ceramic. So this is an IKBS thing. I believe at least at some point, if you used IKBS bearings, you had to announce it on your blade or on the knife somehow or something. So it is blade steel of nitrobe 77. And what's kind of cool, rather than put it on the blade, they just engrave it into the scale, the liner. I think that's a cool way to do it. Yeah, it's a pretty cool knife. Nitrobe 77, I won't get into it because I am not a steel expert. I am not a steel nerd. I am not anything like that, but it is a high edge retention steel. It's in that super steel category, if you will. So you guys can read up more about it if you like. Whatever. I believe it's made by Damasteel is who makes Nitrobe 77. Joseph carries this thing. There is some wear on the pocket clip. There is some wear, some little scuff marks on the liners, which is totally cool. I love to see some kind of scratched up blades and scratched up knives. And I think the makers like to see that too. All too often, I think a lot of us collector guys will get into, oh my God, it's just a showpiece. It's a safe queen. It's going to sit in the drawer and come out for pictures on Instagram and Facebook. I carry everything I own for the most part. My Phil Harvey Peacemaker at 2.5 pounds. I don't pocket carry that very often. But everything else I do carry, I do use it and things like that. So one thing I don't like about this is the access to the lock bar. There is not a big cutout here. If we look straight down at it, it's really not cut out to gain access to the lock bar. There is a little bit of a recess. It's kind of hard to line it up with the lens of the camera very good. So you can get to it, but it is a little, I wish there was more of a cutout on this side. But the lock bar has light pressure. Not so light that it's going to fail. I am not worried about that at all. But it is light enough where it's easy, even though you don't have full access, to be able to disengage the lock. Now, if you do the claw method, which I do from time to time, it's actually going to, for me, it pinches my skin right between the liner and the scale. So that's not super great. It doesn't pinch enough where it rips the skin off or anything like that. It's just a tiny little pinch. And then when you go to get your finger out, you kind of go dink and it comes out. But it's the only, quote, negative I could say about this. Other than I don't like front flipper, top flipper thing. I don't like this action. This mechanism of opening a knife is one of my least favorites. Probably my least favorite. Or if it's only made to Spidey flick, reverse flick, finger flick, whatever you call it, those are my two least favorite opening methods, period. Here it is with the Sharpie. Speaking of zirconium, how about a Red Horse Knife Works Hellraiser custom version, the Black Death series, actually. Speaking of South African knives, how about the Latch 22? This is actually a South African knife that I own. It's the first South African knife I've ever owned, the only South African knife I've owned, and it was gifted to me by the maker and his lovely wife, Peter Stain. So thank you very, very much again for this. It's just, it's really just an honor to have a knife given to me by the maker. That's just something that never happens. So I think it's a cool knife. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. I think I've done another A2 knife in the past. I'm not going to go search it out. I will put a link up in the corner here for my South African playlist. I really do encourage you, not because I need the views or the likes or whatever. I don't even care about any of that crap anymore at all. That's a different video. But if you're not familiar with South African knives, go check it out because you get amazing knives from South Africa at an amazing USD price. So I do encourage you, if for no other reason, to check them out because there is a lot to choose from and a lot to be offered from South Africa.